Welcome to Ringer Tailgate, a Ringer show focused on college football. That's right, you heard it correctly. We are going to be covering and discussing college football. I'm your host, Tate Frazier, and joining me today, first and foremost, we got a man who made this possible, Mr. Van Lathan in the cowboy hat. Van, good to see you, man. How you doing?
I'm so happy to be here. Bullying works, especially when it's bullying about one of the biggest sports in the world.
Yeah. This is what we needed. We needed Van Lathan to make the push. We are here because of that. It was like not a tush push, more like a bush push, right? We would put it in our terms in college football. And also joining us, the Ringer's very own Joel Anderson. You've heard him on the press box, and now you get to hear him talking about college football. Joel, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
Man, I'm happy to be here, man. You know, it was a trip when I came to the Ringer last year, and I'm like, why don't they give a fuck about college football? It's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, so many people care. But I was like, oh, that must be that Boston shit. Because, like, I mean, nobody has talked about Boston College in forever. You know what I mean? What's the other major Northeast program? Syracuse?
Syracuse, yeah, they had a good year last year. That's what people like
up there? Yeah, they were there 10-3. Fran Brown, shout out, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, so I was like, okay. So I'm glad that, you know, I could be a part of this, man. They said this when they hired me, so, you know, they kept their promises. So here we are.
This is Ringer Tailgate presented by FanDuel. Whether you're riding a noon kickoff or betting the late games, FanDuel lets you bet it your way. Same game parlays, live betting, player props, alt lines, whatever your angle is, it lives in the app. It's fast, it's easy, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com/tailgate and make every Saturday count. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available, and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 or older and present in select states, or 18 and older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. So I want to start with the quick game, you know, just to get things heated and started here. Van, first college football player that pops in your mind?
Honey Badger.
Yeah, Tyrann Mathieu.
Honey
Badger.
I'll
Don't give
tell
a
you
fuck, right?
So, you know, I have loved LSU football forever. I've loved college football forever. My college football players and the ones that I like is a wide spectrum and variety of people. But to me, Honey Badger is the epitome of what college football fandom is. A player coming from a place, right? Somebody that made his legend. You heard about it in practice. You heard about it over the summer. Wasn't a can't-miss 5-star must-have guy. But you heard about the legend of Honey Badger. Then he gets on the field wearing that number, and right away you look at him and he starts making instinctive, otherworldly plays and lives up to the nickname and does what great college football players do, which is build a legend. This sport is about legends, and that's the guy that I remember.
I love that. Joe, I'll flip it right to you. First college football player that pops in your head.
Well, nobody has probably heard of this person unless you lived in Houston in the late 80s, but Chuck Weatherspoon. Check him out. So Chuck Weatherspoon is, as far as I remember, he leads the NCAA in like yards per carry. Like for career, he has like something like 7.3 yards per carry. But he was the running back in the University of Houston's run and shoot era, right? So it was like Andre Ware's throwing to Manny Hazard and all these other dudes. And this running back, he was like, literally, Chuck Weatherspoon was like 5'7", 210. Like he was a bowling ball. And like, so they were handing the ball, he picked up 9 yards a carry or whatever. And so that was the team that I grew up with. I'm a University of Houston guy. I'm from Houston. You know, you don't need me to tell y'all, you know, what Texas is known for in football and everything, right? But my pops worked at the Astrodome. When I was a kid, it was one of 3 jobs he had. He worked for the Boy Scouts. He worked at the railroad, which is his main job. And then he also worked on weekends at the Astrodome. And so I got to, every now and again, get to come in and see him. And so that's how I got into football, man, watching University of Houston and rooting for those run and shoot teams. And so whenever I'm just thinking about football, man, and I'm just like, it just comes in my mind, like the first guy that really popped off the screen to me was Chuck Weatherspoon. Shout him out. I think he was a 12th round pick. I think he got like 2 carries in the NFL. But yeah, like as Van is saying, like, that's a dude that is only famous in college. Like, that is not anybody's ever going to remember in the NFL. Like, he did not leave a legacy at the next level, but he is forever great. He is forever, like, his legacy is forever imprinted on my brain. So, yeah, man, Chuck Weatherspoon.
Yeah, shout out. I had no idea how this was going to go and what guys you were going to throw out, and I'm very happy that we went there with Weatherspoon, you know, someone that definitely was not on the top of mind for many people. For me, it's a name, Ronald Curry. That was the first Curry in my life that made me fall in love with the sport. Obviously played basketball, played football, Virginia's finest. Everyone thought he was going to go to Virginia. He comes to North Carolina, plays quarterback, also ended up playing wide receiver in the NFL. Shout out to Oregon Raiders fan. I'm sure he knows who Ronald Curry is. But, you know, that's a college football, high school recruit, right, that everybody kind of knew in that moment. Gets forgotten, like you said, once we get to the pros in the NFL. But, I mean, just a pure college football guy. So, Ronald Curry, shout out to him.
He wasn't even a bad NFL receiver, right? Like, he had like an English year or something like that, right?
Yeah. He's a wide receivers coach, I believe, for the Saints now. So he's still out there. Shout out to Ronald Curry. I'm sure he wasn't expecting a shout out on the show. Last thing before we get into the actual segment, start breaking down this season. What's the last great game you've been to? Been there in person? Joe, I'll throw it up to you. What's the last great game that you saw in person?
Wow. So the last great game I saw in person, a lot of people probably saw this game, the 2018 National Championship game between Bama and Georgia. And it was like, because again, that game's in Atlanta. Georgia, you know, they're terrified. Like, they've not done shit in their career. This is like their big moment. They've got Alabama where they want them. And like, Georgia is beating Alabama so bad that Nick Saban fucking panics. Like, he's like, well, Jalen Hurts is not good enough to get it done for us. We got to go to Tua Tagovailoa. And I mean, that game, like, first of all, I mean, you got to see Najee Harris come in. They like started moving to like it was like they went to a freshman movement in the second half of a national championship game against Georgia, bro. And then, yeah, I mean, the walk-off touchdown pass from Tua to Devontae Smith, who Devontae Smith wasn't Devontae Smith at that time. He was just a freshman wide receiver. And on second and 26 from the 41 in overtime, like, it was unreal. Like, I mean, we all yelled in the press box when that shit happened. So yeah, man, that was probably my last great game, I think.
You think Saban panicked there?
Well,
I think he did what he had always wanted to do the whole season.
No, you're right. So like, I think the thing was, it was kind of like,
finally had the tape to back him up. Yeah,
right. But like the thing, it opens you up to so much criticism. Absolutely. Like, I mean, it takes a lot of guts to do that, to be like, man, I know this shit has been working all year. This guy's the reigning SEC Offensive Player of the Year, which Jalen Hurts was at the time. And it'd be like, this isn't working. I got to go to this freshman. And to know that the freshman will respond, you know? It's just incredible. So yeah.
Before I get to mine, this is why right now I have more respect for Jalen Hurts currently than I do for any other professional athlete. That is a devastating thing to have happen to you. Devastating.
It's a nightmare scenario.
It's a nightmare scenario to get outplayed, played up by the freshman in that position in front of everyone in that game. Jalen Hurts picks himself up, takes himself to Oklahoma, puts up the numbers at Oklahoma, and then comes into the NFL in a similar situation than he was when he was in college, with people still asking questions about his ability to be a competent quarterback, and does the same thing in a lot of ways, except goes further this time because he's actually able to win a championship in the NFL. I can't believe he shook back from that.
No, Van, it's not even that, dog. Like, he was embarrassed in the biggest moment of his life, came back the next year and lost the quarterback competition to Tua. People forget he was on the bench that whole next year,
right?
Sat behind Tua, and then when Tua got hurt, he came in and relieved and played really well in the SEC championship game. But his story is incredible. There's not been another. It's like Tommy Frazier. All of a sudden, like, you say, oh man, Tommy Frazier ended up being a great NFL quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we thought Jalen Hurts was. And for him to be where he is today, man, like, you got to give that brother everything, man. Because, yeah, not many people come back from that.
100%. All right, Van, what game?
LSU versus A&M at home a couple of years ago. Look, it's 2023. Like, when I say great game, I mean great game for me. I don't care about what you guys think. LSU game is a great game for me. Okay, I'm in Baton Rouge. I'm in my LSU gear. And I'm watching the game that LSU has to have, and I just don't think I just didn't have a good feeling about it because of the way the defense was playing. The defense was playing historically bad. They played historically bad the entire year. But I'm watching something in the game, and it's a great and memorable game for me because of a reason. I'm watching the throws that Jaden Daniels is making.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I've watched Jaden Daniels his entire college career at this point, even when he was at Arizona State. He comes to LSU. In the first year, there are certain throws and certain balls that he's just not willing to uncork. When he gets in a situation and he's not sure about his read, he takes off. In this game, he's back shouldering Neighbors and BTJ to the corners of the end zone. He's doing whatever it takes. He's an unstoppable football machine. And he literally, on a fourth down, runs us to victory in that game, right? Like, wasn't the deciding play of the game, but it was one where it was 4th and 4. It was like, we need a play. And then he makes a gigantic big play. Tiger Stadium on fire. That's what college football is about.
Yeah, it's the best feeling in the world when something like that, when a plan comes together, you know what I mean? The A-team gets it done. I'm going to take a card out of your book, Van. This is something personal to me. I was there for Nick Saban's last game. I went to the Rose Bowl against Michigan. That was an incredible game. Obviously, the Milroe, low snap, all that sort of stuff. I guess that would qualify as the great game I went to last. But the real great game I went to changed college football forever. And in case you don't know, the 2010 Music City Bowl, the 10-second runoff in college football did not exist before this game. I was at this game in Tennessee. I was a senior in high school with my entire family. We went to the first game of the season against LSU. Van, you remember that game? Zach Pianalto drops the pass in the end zone. Carolina comes up short after they, fight back after being down 31-10 in that game. So this was the full circle moment where Butch Davis finally gets what he deserves, which is a win on a quote-unquote big stage. Tennessee fans were throwing beer bottles at my family. They were threatening our lives, but it was all worth it to have North Carolina. The game was over, by the way, in regulation, and then they go and review it. They come back out. Casey Barth hits the kick. We go into overtime. Tyler Bray does the throat slash to the sideline in that game. And North Carolina, Sean Drawn, my guy, comes back and wins that game. So that was the last great game. And again, changed college football forever. We get the 10-second runoff. It will never happen again. Derek Dooley, future senator, was the head coach of Tennessee at that time. So it feels like forever ago, but a beautiful game and a beautiful time. Now we got segments. We do have a planned show. We have a college football season at hand. Yeah, we got a lot going on. So let's start here. We got a lot of first takes that are out there, but we got a first fact, and I'll lob this up for everybody. Of the past 21 preseason number 1 AP ranked teams, 19 failed to win the national championship. This is a Brett McMurphy tweet at the start of the season. Also, the last team to win after being AP number 1, Alabama, back in 2017. Van, I look to you. Texas, number 1 in the AP poll. Do you believe?
I believe in Texas as a team. I don't believe that Texas is some unbeatable behemoth that's going to steamroll its way to a national championship. The only way you demonstrate that is on the field. All of the preseason stuff and I love the idea of a preseason Buckus Award winner, finalist guy, whatever. I love that. I love the fact that every single college football offseason, we listen to camp reports and reports of what's happening inside of scrimmages with players going up against the guys that they live in their dorm rooms with. And then we use this info to completely orient the season and set a set of standards and expectations that mean nothing until the teams hit the field. Texas is going to be good. They're going to be very good. Mm-hmm. We will know whether or not they can dominate enough to win a national championship very early because they start with Ohio State. So they're going to have a new quarterback up against a defense with a lot of players on it, and we'll know then. Beyond that, it's all rumor. It's all innuendo, and it's all players who are supposed to be good.
Yeah, and it's the first time that the national or the number 1 team in the country will be facing the national champion and be the underdog in that game. So that is fascinating as well for the number 1 team in the AP to be an underdog in their first game. Obviously, it's in Columbus, so that makes the reason why. But again, it is fascinating. Joel, does the trend continue? Do you think we continue on where the number 1 team doesn't actually end up being the number 1 team at the end of the season?
Well, so this is tough because I have a little bit of something to say about Texas after this, but I think that that it would be really difficult for Texas to live up to the expectations because, like, what's better? I was looking at Athlon's preseason magazine. Every unit, their entire defense, every unit is considered the best in the country, bro. Like, and
they got studs. They got players.
They've got
Right.
studs, right? And so, I mean, the thing is, though, is that like their schedules is kind of wonky, right? Because they go to Florida before they play at Oklahoma. They got to go to Georgia. It's real easy to see them maybe dropping a couple of games. Maybe they'll get into the playoffs. But like, okay, this is what I'm from Texas, man. Okay, I'm from Texas.
Okay, here we go.
They've won 8 conference titles in my lifetime. I'm 47 years old. I may not look it, you know what I'm saying? I'm a good-looking guy, you know, but they've won 8 conference titles in my entire lifetime. 3 in the last 20, okay? What kind of fool would I be if I thought that Texas was going to live up to expectations?
You're saying because they never live up to expectations?
They never live up to expectations.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, though, that the brand of Texas that, you know, we're talking about, which is, you know, perennial disappointments and whatever, such a well-resourced program that has trouble getting over the hump, do you think that Sark, the Sark brand of Texas football, has cured that? Because that's really the question that people are asking. Because there is a world where Texas has sort of, in the Sark era, in ways, overachieved. They're a perennial playoff team. They haven't won a national championship, but I don't know if they've ever had on paper the best team ever. I don't know if they have that now because they have an unproven quarterback. But do you believe that Sark has solidified what the expectations of Texas are year in and year out?
I think they are they'd have to be over the moon, right? Because Sark has tapped into what everybody has for years, and probably pretty much as long as I've been living, looked at Texas and seen a Goliath, right? Like they're like, okay, well, what are they missing? They're in Austin. Every kid that grows up in Texas wants the Longhorn offer. They've got as much money as they need to throw at any problem they have, right? And now they can take that money and throw it at players, right? But nobody has ever really been able to fully operationalize that except like Mac Brown in my lifetime. Like Mac Brown kind of got that, but even still was like the on-field acumen people were worried about. They're like, well, Greg Davis is the offensive coordinator. He's a little limited. They never really lived up to expectations. But now you've got Sark who's figured out like the glad handing and, you know, we're going to do the Eyes of Texas thing. Hey, look, man, he's got to play to his base, right? So he figured that out, got through it. It wasn't a big deal. He's got the boosters in alignment. And look, the way he handled the quarterback situation last year, bro, like a lot of guys lose Arch Manning in that circumstance, but Arch Manning has sat on the bench for 2 years at Texas because Sark has been real with them and laid out a plan for him, and like everybody agrees with it. So, I mean,
one other thing
the thing is like nobody saw this. This was not the Sark. I was excited when Sark got hired at Texas because I wanted them to lose. Like I hate Texas, but like he has been far and away better than anybody that's being realistic. Like nobody would have ever dreamed this was possible.
I'll say this, there's one more thing about Sark that if he has truly mastered all of the things that you just said that he's mastered, then Texas is in for a long run of dominance, and I'll tell you why. Because that's the stuff that was going to be hardest for him to master, because Sark is a football genius.
Yep. And
so being that he is a football savant, it was going to be the cultural part of dealing with being the head coach of the Texas Longhorns that was going to be hard for him. The football part of it is the one thing. We live in an age of football geniuses, you know, all of these guys, the defensive guru, the offensive guru, the ones that can't get it right are the ones that can't acclimate to the culture of college football. Right. And if you're telling me that you feel like he's acclimated to the culture of college football, it's going to be a long 5, 10, 15 years for everybody else who's trying to compete with Texas.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's disgusting to think about, but like, right? Because the thing is like Texas is obnoxious when they're not good. So for them to be good and like have a reason to back it up is really going to be disgusting for people. But man, like, I mean, he has gotten everything right there. And like, again, there's been consistent growth at the program. Like, you know, they made the playoff. The year before they lost in the semis. This past year they lost again in the semis, but they had a better team and they looked like they made it to the SEC championship game in their first year in the league. I mean, that's supposed to be Oklahoma. Oklahoma was the dominant program of the Big 12, not Texas, but Texas, like Sark got them ready, man. And whatever he learned under Saban, it really paid off because Saban school, man.
Yeah. And the one thing about Sark, you mentioned the guru, offensive guru, these layered concepts that he has on offense are incredible. Like if you watch some of the plays back that Texas runs where it looks like they're running one thing and then they flip it late and they go the opposite way or have a guy leak out and he's wide open. I mean, that's all Sark's offensive genius. The one thing he has to get over is the get back guy, right? When he's running out of the tunnel, he's had a few incidents where he wanted to kill that person. So if he can get past that, I think he's going to be all right. All right. Next up, we got one big prediction. Throughout the season, we're going to give our one big reaction, but of course we have no football to talk about yet. So we got one big prediction. Van, I'll start with you. What is your one big prediction this season?
So it's not a big prediction, but it's something for the
Wait a second, you just broke the bit.
I broke the bit. The bit's done. The bit's done. I pump fake on the bit. It's a prediction though, and it's for the Ohio State fans. Ohio State loses again to Michigan this year. Michigan beats Ohio State again this year. Michigan beats Ohio State again this year.
Come on, man.
They're going to beat them. They're going to win. Michigan's going to win the game. Look, I'll tell you something right now. Ohio State snake bit. They're snake bit right on the Buckeye. They're snake bit right now with Michigan. I watched that game from last year a couple of different times, and I told my friend in Mecca that Ohio State would probably win the national championship after losing that game because the pressure would be off them. There's something that's happening. Something that's happened to them. And there's an intensity and an urgency surrounding that game that the Buckeyes are having trouble meeting the moment. And it's not just the Buckeyes. They're taking the personality of their coach. Ryan Day, for some reason, when the pressure was off, coached his life out during their playoff run. Everything hitting on all cylinders. They're free. They're going. They're making plays. Everybody's playing like with their hair on fire. But in that game against Michigan, he did something that boxers sometimes do. There are some boxers that take a win and make it a loss and take a loss and make it a win. And what I mean by that is if you are a guy that needs to stay at the end of your jab and fight that way the entire fight, right? If that's going to win you the fight, there are some boxers that take winning that way as a loss. They want to show the guy on the other side of the ring with them that they can out-tough them or they can out-push them or they can outlast them. So they play into that person's hands and they lose. And Ryan Day, for some reason, does that with Michigan. He's trying to prove that his program is as tough as Michigan is. And if he doesn't change that, which I don't think that he quite will, I think that game is in Michigan this year. That's an L. They're going to lose.
Van, so I have a practical response to what you're going to say. And I'm not a doctor. Everybody should know. You know what I'm saying? I was bad at science in school. I think Will Howard got a concussion in the second quarter of that game. And I thought that was what happened. Because, he goes for a run in that game. He goes for, a scamper. It's, early in the second quarter. He goes out for a play. I think his helmet gets knocked off. So Ohio State has to bring in their backup quarterback. They run a play. Punt away, Michigan gets the ball, and then all of a sudden, when Ohio State gets the ball, Will Howard's back in the game, and it's another series. But it was clear that something had happened to him. He had gotten hurt enough that they had to take him out of the game, and so when everybody's, and again, I do agree that there is something that Michigan has over Ohio State in terms of some sort of mental hold over them, a psychological hold that is fucking with Ohio State. But I also think really practically, when I look at that game, and I'm just surprised that nobody has brought it up. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this, but I really feel like Will Howard had a concussion in that game, kept trying to play, and that's why he looked so off and why the offense bogged down and everything, and that's why they were not able to win. Because I was like, why can't they move the ball? Eventually I was like,
I get it.
He has a head injury.
I don't think that they lost the game at quarterback. I think they had a fantastic tandem of backs that they could have used in more creative ways to open up the offense a little bit. I also think that there were other big moments that they just straight up shit the bed. I think if, in fact, they knew that Will Howard was impaired past the point that you're talking about, that very well can be true. I think that they panicked. And I don't think that they played a brand of football that in any way anyway met the moment. And part of that has to do with the fact that for some reason, and I can't tell you why, I'll tell you, last thing I'll say about this, there are 2 games in college football, literally 2 games. 2 games in college football that the fan base has put over the season. One of them is this game. And you guys know the big game, Michigan versus Ohio State. It's not a football game. It's a clash of cultures. It's a battle for cultural dominance, right? There's one more game like that, at least that I know of and I'm really familiar with, and that's the Bayou Classic. Bayou Classic, of course, is a game between Southern and Grambling that takes place after Thanksgiving in New Orleans, right? My father went to Southern. I went to Southern. It does not matter what else happens in the entire year. It doesn't matter if Grambling wins the SWAC, then goes on to win the Black College National Championship. If you lose the Bayou Classic, your season was a failure. That's the way that it goes. And that is a lot of pressure on a coach and on a program, and you have to either be for it or you have to cower to it. And I'm not so sure Ryan Day has demonstrated that he understands enough the importance of coaching that game and what it means for him being the coach of Ohio State football, even though they won a national championship.
And it's funny in that rivalry, it was like a Freaky Friday moment where it used to be the other way around, where it was like Michigan's never going to beat Ohio State. You know what I mean? It's like, how many years is Ohio State going to dominate these guys? And the fact that it's completely flipped the other way is something that I think some people, if you're a casual fan, might not even realize that it's gone that far in the other direction. Joel, one big or small prediction for this season?
So I think Oregon is going to be what everybody thinks Penn State is going to be.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah. First, again, Penn State kind of has it set up for them, but I kind of like Drew Aller. Like, if people look at his stat lines from the last 4 games of the season, 12 for 23, 135 and a pick against Notre Dame. 13 for 25 for 171 and 3 touchdowns versus Boise State. 13 for 22 for 127, no picks, no touchdowns versus SMU. 20 for 39 for 226, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions versus Oregon. The dude had 1 game last year where he completed more than 21 passes. Like, I don't see Penn State. Again, I know that there's NFL evaluators and everything that think that Drew Aller is going to be a first-round pick and everything. I'm looking at that dude and I'm like, man, he's the reason they're not able to get over the hump right now. But with Oregon, I felt like, man, like Dante Moore is going to be the new quarterback. He had a year to get right.
Big fan of Dante Moore.
He had a year to get right after getting beat the hell up at UCLA. So, you know what I'm saying? He's getting those mental reps and he's going to get to play. He's going to get to play behind a good offensive line. They've got a tight end that every college football podcast I listen to has mentioned Kenyon Sadiq all offseason. That motherfucker is like, he's a physical specimen, and people think that he's really going to pop this year. They got in a 5-star receiver from the Dallas area named Decorian Moore. Like, that dude's going to be out of hooks. And then, and this is out your neck of the woods, man. They pulled probably the best running back out of the portal last year, Mekhi Hughes from Tulane. Dude ran for 1,400 yards last year. Yeah. So, they're going to be stacked. Defense is good, and that's Lanningham's thing. You know, they got a little bit of a tough stretch, but I think if Oregon can go 10-2, they're probably a lock for the playoffs. And I just think that in terms of living up to expectations, potential to actually win a national championship game and defeating their rival, winning the game that you don't think that they're going to win. And they got through some of that last year. I think that you could see them in a national championship game.
You're not concerned with Oregon specifically. I mean, Dante Moore is kind of an unproven quantity right now. I mean, we have to see how he's going to play. And then also, he's going to have to come in and produce with no receivers. I mean, Decorian Moore, if he comes out and he's Ryan Stewart, then yeah, that would make a lot of sense. But, Ryan Stewart. Evan Stewart is hurt. So if he's Ryan Williams, if he comes on to explodes onto the scene like that, that's one thing. But Evan Stewart, their most dependable pass catcher, is hurt. He's not going to be around. So they're going to have to lean on a true freshman, a first-year quarterback, and then probably some big tight end sets to offset that. You think they can really get over that? This is a big prediction. My prediction was a stupid prediction. This is a big prediction.
Yeah, no, because
I believe in Will Stein. I feel like Will Stein, some of the stuff that he draws up for those tight ends, like he has this fly sweep play that's like unbelievable. And they basically hit it every single time that they run it. And it looks like a base offensive set. And then they get into it, basically post snap. So Will Stein, I believe in. So that would be my one kind of feather to point to if you wanted to believe in the offense.
Also, I mean, maybe this undermines my belief in Oregon. Bear Alexander is there. And I don't know if people in college football have followed Bear Alexander. So Bear Alexander first showed up in the national championship game against TCU when he was a freshman at Georgia. He was at USC, and now he's at Oregon. Okay, I think.
Welcome to college football.
Is there one more school in there? I feel like Bear has gone to 4 schools in 4 years. But anyway. So somebody else believes in Bear, and I think that like maybe this is the environment where he can finally flourish, live up to expectations. And Oregon has become like a sneaky good defensive line school in the last few years. Like they've been able to produce some
Dan
decent stuff.
got them, yeah.
Sure. So anyway, I have a lot more belief in Oregon and Penn State. Put it that way.
I'm rooting for Bear. I'm rooting for Bear. Bear reminds me of a tight end that LSU recruited, 5-star named Eric Gilbert. That bounced all over the place. And I think now he's at Savannah State, couldn't really get it right. But I want guys like that to always figure it out. So I'm rooting for Bear. I'm sorry, Tate, I stepped on you.
No, I like that you're rooting for him. Last thing for me, as far as my bold, big, small, whatever you want to call it, prediction, this is something that I just didn't feel like this team got enough credit last year because of the Indiana, free-for-all. It's a basketball school as well. I have a soft spot for all the basketball schools that like to, play college football. So Illinois, I think they're going to be the Indiana of this season. Obviously, preseason number 12, so they're on the radar. But again, won 10 games last year. They're trying to go for back-to-back winning seasons. First time since 2010, 2011. You got Bielema there. He's been at Wisconsin. He's been in a space where he's had to win games. He's had the pressure on him. They return 18 starters. I like Luke Altmaier. I know a lot of people, may not. But for me, I think he's a good player. I think he showed last year in these one-possession games, Illinois found a way to win. Now, that can scare some people away, but this year, I think it's going to be a big year for the Fighting Illini. So that's my bold, maybe not too big, but I'll go with Illinois.
Wait, Tate, so let me ask you a question. So, because this is the thing about Indiana. And look, I had a lot of respect for Indiana. I'm happy they made the playoff. That's great. Like, I think that you should mix it up at that level. But do you think that they're going to be what Indiana was last year and that they're going to compile a very good record and miss a lot of the heavyweights in the conference and have a good record that way? Or do you think they're legitimately going to be good?
I think they're going to be good, but I think the propaganda is going to be behind them as well, because the Big Ten is going to have to push people to the forefront. That's not the usual suspects. Last year, they loved Cignetti coming out, talking junk about the SEC, right? Bielema is one of those guys that's not afraid to shoot from the hip, talk a little junk, you know what I mean? So I just think they're going to get pushed to the forefront because they're a good team. They're returning production. I think they're going to play good football. And then I just think the Big Ten, they're going to try to make sure we know who they are. So they're going to get the propaganda push. That's more of the Indiana connection, more of the propaganda as opposed to the schedule.
Well, I'll say with those two teams, I mean, first, you can only be good against who you play. So those two teams are very important to the new narrative of Big Ten dominance because
the depth.
It's going to be depth, right? If I was to point to the reasons why people can say SEC bias, whatever they want to say, there's a lot of times when you talk about the SEC that people say, well, Bama was undergirding a lot of the talk around the SEC, and that's true. There's nobody who's being honest about SEC football that's not going to tell you that a lot of the college football dominance of the SEC was coming from what Bama was able to do. However, there's also another part of that argument, and the part of the argument is that from 2025 to 2000, there were 5 different SEC teams that have won national championships. 5 different teams: Florida, Auburn, Georgia, LSU, Alabama. 5 different teams from one conference.
In Texas now, right? You can claim Texas.
Well, that have won national championships, right? So if you're talking about a conference, you're talking about not just the number of wins and the way that they win, you're talking about the variety of teams that can win. And if the Big Ten is going to be a conference that asserts their dominance, then Penn State having a shot this year is going to be very important. You've seen Michigan and Ohio State already win. But some of these other schools, I don't know where Wisconsin is right now, you know what I mean? But some of these other schools are going to have to show that not just the depth of the conference, but the top of the conference is such that they can go out and also win national championships. You might be waiting for Oregon and SC to kind of get themselves into that mix. Oregon kind of already is. SC, we're still waiting for them to wake the fuck up. But I'm of the belief that SC is always going to have trouble really, really dominating in the Big Ten just because of the travel. So to me, like when I look at this, the Indianas, the Illinois, these other teams, whatever, Iowa, and them getting offensively frisky and all of this, as NIL and transfer portal change the game a little bit, there's going to have to be a couple of other Big Ten teams that make it to the elite level too, if they're going to snatch the reins from the SEC in the way that they seem to be doing right now.
Yeah, Iowa, by the way, for instance, most active wins in college football. That's a nice trivia note for everybody out there that did not know that. Let's do the counterplay here. This is the zag of the preseason. Obviously, we did our predictions here, but let's do something that is, we had the prognostications coming off the message boards and what we've seen in training camp, but there's a lot of people that have the takes. They've already decided who's who and what's what. Joel, I look to you here. What is your zag of the preseason? What do you see out there?
So I think there's a consensus out there that Josh Heupel in Tennessee did the right thing, by walking away from Nico Iamaleava. I'm going to call him Nico from here on out, okay?
You killed that, though.
Did I do
that was
it?
a great pronunciation.
I think I did it, bro.
Better than I've heard from anyone.
I practiced it before we got on here.
You killed that because I call him Nico a big N.
Yeah,
I don't even try to say the last name. I don't want to get canceled.
They were saying I'm a leaving at the,
I want to get it out of the way so I don't have to say it again. So now I can call him Nico now. But there was a strain of argument that like Josh Heupel had made some sort of stand in the name of standing up for college football and program loyalty and all this other shit. And I'm like, bro, why are you going into the season with the worst quarterback? You don't have to do that. What we're to believe from the reports is that Nico wanted to renegotiate his deal with the Vols and NIL Collective. And he was making like 2.4. He wanted to make 4 because that's what Carson Beck is making in Miami. And that's what the Mensah kid at Duke is making. He's like,
Darian Mensah. Yep.
Darian Mensah, I want to open things back up. Again, it may be annoying. I'm sure it's annoying. And again, if you believe some of the reporting that goes on, like maybe, he wasn't as, he was trying to leave because he was afraid a little bit about I'm losing a lot of my support. Dylan Sampson, the last year's Offensive Player of the Year is gone on, so I'm not going to have the supporting cast that I have, so I need a little bit more money for that. Fine, but bro, part of being a coach and part of being a person that's the face of a program is not taking any of that shit personal. Mm-hmm. And I understand, man. Look, if Tennessee if their fans are legitimately cool going 6-6. 5-7, 7-5 in the name of making a statement against this kid, Nico, who wanted $1.6 million more, which you could argue that he earned. Fine. But I just think that's dumb. I just would not, maybe I wanted more than Josh Heupel. I would not allow that to get in the way of having the better quarterback if I could.
If they beat Arkansas last year, if he goes down and drives and they win that game, does he get the $4 million? I think it's the question, because I think there's been some Tennessee pushback where they're like, hey man, I saw this guy no show in a big moment for us, so I'm out.
So yeah, I'm gonna be real with you in this. And Zag, Joel, I'm interested to see what you're gonna think of my Zag too, because I bet you that you will disagree. Uh-oh. I could not disagree more with Joel right here. Could not disagree more. And let me tell you why. Now, let me tell you like this. If it is for the reasons that Joel says it's for, then I agree. So if Josh Heupel took it personally that Nico came back and asked for more money, and then he pouted about it and sent the quarterback away, then I agree. Then I actually do agree. However, I don't think that's why that happened. There's a guy playing on Tennessee's line right now. LSU, my beloved Tigers, have problems at the offensive line. Tennessee has a guy right now named Zalance Hurd, 5-star guy out of Louisiana that we had recruited and was supposed to be the guy that after Emory Jones and Will Campbell were gone that were going to hold down our offensive line. Well, after the season one year, it's rumored that Zalance Hurd and his people just straight up asked for more money. They asked for more money. And the staff was like, no. You got to go find that money somewhere else. Let me tell you why I actually agree with that. Well, in the case of Lance Hurd, he hadn't really been a full-time starter yet, right? So we can't do that given you give you that type of bag, you're not a full-time starter yet. I know you're a 5-star. I guess he's playing fine at Tennessee. I've seen some things, but the fans are so biased, you never really know how a guy is looking. I'd have to look at the grades and all of that stuff. But you cannot set that precedent in your team and your program. You cannot set a precedent in the team and your program. If he had won a national championship and made it to New York as a Heisman finalist, he had what I thought was a pretty average to slightly above average season, which you would expect for a first-year starter in the SEC. But he hadn't done nearabouts enough for him to come there and ask them for an extra $1.5 million. The precedent that you are setting in your program, if you allow anyone, even your quarterback, to live by that standard, it becomes a free-for-all. There has to be a point where you say, no, go get your money somewhere else. And my question to you is this, Joe. Did Nico get $4 million from anybody?
No.
There you go. So,
so the market decided, right?
But
yeah,
he was
the market decided he was wild.
But I would argue that he was worth $4 million to Tennessee. And here's the thing. Here's the thing about precedent. If I'm Josh Heupel, you ain't Nico. You're not my starting quarterback. You didn't enter here as a 5-star. You don't have the same leverage for the most part if you're somebody else, right? And so, like, if I'm Josh Heupel, you can't bully me because you don't have the same sort of leverage that this kid had. And obviously, evidently, he did not have the leverage he thought he had with Josh Heupel and the Tennessee NIL collective. But I just think, again, like, he did not have the season. Like, he was not great. He was no Garrett Nussmeier. He wasn't Lenore Sellers or whatever. But he was solid.
He was good.
He was good. And they had invested in him already. And I just don't, I would not let $1.5 million get in between me being a potential playoff contender and somebody that is taking a guy that UCLA looked at and was like, oh, yeah, we can do better. We'll take the Tennessee guy.
But think about $1.5 million and even the players and the depth that's going to cost you in terms of buying players. It's so crazy that we're talking about buying players in the way that we're talking about buying players in college football right now.
That's crazy.
But for a quarterback, $1.5 million is not a lot of money. But if you're talking about strong safeties, if you're talking about backers, if you're talking about guys along the line, if you're talking about other depth pieces, you're talking about $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, and then you're going to pay that to him when he hasn't shown that he can be the sole reason why you win games. And then, not only that, but you let him bogart after a year where he was just okay to basically almost good. I just think that Josh Heupel made a tough decision, maybe a dumb decision.
Yeah, dumb. It was dumb.
A prideful decision.
You're right. You had it.
But it was the right decision to me.
I can understand being frustrated with the kid and his representatives. I totally get it. And I understand that he was not a great quarterback. I take those. But he was I
want to say that brother wasn't a great quarterback. He was a freshman. He was coming on. I give you that. I grant you that.
He was fine. He was great. And like, I thought he could get better. To me, if I put that much money and effort into getting the kid, I have him in my program, the difference between him leaving and staying is $1.5 million. I'm probably not going to deal with him the year after. I'll probably give him the money and we just keep him cool. But, yeah.
Let's talk about a guy who did get the money. Van, your Zag of the preseason.
I know y'all going to disagree with this. I think Carson Beck is going to be dominant this season.
Dominant?
Yeah, with the elbow and everything. You think he's going to be dominant?
Damn.
I think Carson Beck is going to be dominant this season. I think the elbow is going to be fine. And I think he's in a position now where I could see Carson Beck, who was a guy who everybody was looking at as a potential first pick in the draft at one point. I think he's down in a place where he's going to get to throw the ball around a lot. I think the numbers are going to be crazy. I think there's a scenario where Carson Beck could end up in New York this year. I think he's going to be dominant.
You're going to be surprised, Van, to know that I don't. So, like, maybe I might quibble with you on the word dominant, but I think that he's going to be good. I think he's going to be really good. Yeah. Because, I mean, like...
He's like the Ryan Day of quarterbacks, right? Everybody wrote him off. Yep. Everyone's kind of done with him. You know, he even got his, like, ex-girlfriends coming after him saying he has no friends. They said his teammates hate him. You know what I mean? Like, he had all this stuff just kind of thrown at him. It's the perfect, everybody against me story, Perfect bulletin board material.
If you're a guy like him, the best place to go is to play for a coach who's known for coaching up good offensive lines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Miami ain't one of them schools that I'm worried about having problems finding fast guys that can catch and run the ball. So,
and when he's had playmakers like he did at Georgia the first year, he looked great. You know what I mean? When he
Well,
lost
that's the
some of
thing.
those guys like
Right.
Lad McConkey, right? Then it wasn't the same thing. So we'll see. If he had a guy like Restrepo there, maybe I'd believe even more in what he's going to do. Mine is an easy one because I keep seeing all the predictions, right? All the people keep saying that, Penn State is either going to win or Clemson is going to win the CFP. And this is giving me the easiest layup of all time. The SEC is going to win the CFP this year. This feels like they have to for the propaganda of it all. I'm not saying which SEC team. I'm not sure.
You had to say no. Come on, no.
I'm not
do
sure
that
it's going to be
Texas, Georgia, LSU.
Yeah, I would lean more into like an LSU, Florida, South Carolina group.
Wow, we named 5 SEC schools and not Alabama. Can you imagine? But just their heads had to explode. They were not included in that group.
They just turned it off.
Yeah,
they just turned off the podcast. They turned that bitch off. They can't deal with it.
It's like, what the fuck you talking about? South Carolina?
They just turned it off. They don't like that shit. I'll tell you something, man. Look, the Alabama reign of dominance that happened is interesting. I wasn't used to. Me and Joel all the time go back and forth about LSU's, Johnny come lately status as a national power. Which look. You can go back and forth on it. I'm not about to litigate that right now. I feel like me and Joel are going to talk about that all season long. But I'm not saying that Alabama's a Johnny come lately. That would be stupid, right? However, at the time that I was really, really, really watching college football, Alabama was far from a dominant program. Mm-hmm. Then they reclaim their roots and become a dominant program again. But, nobody's going to remember the Mike Shula years as years that Alabama was dominant. They had won a national championship, I think it was like 91, so I'm not saying that they were ever out of the college football conversation. They definitely weren't. But it's going to be interesting to see how this fucking fan base responds to what just happened. To us mentioning teams that might win a national championship in the SEC, and Florida and South Carolina, 2 teams that I don't think have any real shot at a national championship, just to put it out there, but that they're being mentioned before Alabama because those teams have dynamic quarterbacks, and Alabama is still looking for an identity under Kalen DeBoer. And I'm not saying that Bama's not going to be elite because we don't know what they're going to be. We don't know what Simpson's going to be like or what's going to happen, but man, if you're in Tuscaloosa somewhere right now, you're on the couch with your sister, you guys are looking after your kids, you must really be upset by the way people are talking about your program right now.
Well, and the 2 reasons I will say that I didn't say Alabama is because 1, Jam gets hurt, who I think is their best player, right? So it's the collarbone. So now your best playmaker, your guy is going to be Mr. Reliable in the run game. He's not going to be there. Also, Ty Simpson wins the job because quote unquote loyalty. Anytime that anybody wins a job over loyalty, I'm skeptical. It's kind of like Graham Mertz last year at Florida. They're like, this guy, he's so loyal to the program. And yes, Mertz was great for Lagway, mentoring him. It all kind of worked itself out. But that worries me that he got the job off loyalty. And we know what it is. Quarterback play really matters, especially in the SEC. So that is the reason I have concern for Alabama. Obviously, the talent is there. But those 2 reasons, Jam and the fact that I'm not sure they have a quarterback yet.
Well, I mean, first of all, Van from Louisiana said that about Alabama and your sister raising your kids, okay? All right. So I just want to marinate in that for a second.
We don't have a reputation for that.
Hey, that was Zag of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, I was Zag.
We don't have a reputation for that. We might fuck your sister, but not our sister. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, see, look at that. All right, look at that. Look at that, dog. Just watch this, man. Oh, anyway, I'm not going to. All right.
Let's kick the can.
Kick the can. But my thing about Bama is that, yeah, man, like, there is a generation. See, it's one thing to, like, have the Clemson run where they were good for, like, 5 years. They were, like, nationally. Yeah. But, like, there are a generation of Alabama fans that don't know anything but with this, just missing out on the playoffs is like a failure of a year. Like when it was a 14 playoff, it was like, oh man, that sucked. Like that was not a year we expected. So there's a whole generation of people that are not used to losing 3 or 4 games in a year. But like, I'm so sorry for old boy Kalen DeBoer. You moved into the SEC in the era where like, this is just like what life is going to be like in college football. And the thing is like, I don't think Bama is necessarily in trouble. I think DeBoer is going to be a good coach. I think the program's going to be solid. But like, fans are not prepared for this era of college football where teams lose a couple games and they look shaky and some stuff. It'll be like an NFL season. You can still, pop up at the end of the year and compete and win a championship, but it's going to look shaky in parts because you're going to play lots more good teams along the way. And so, man, it's like, are fans going to be able to adjust in time, or will Alabama panic and have to go bring somebody else in? We'll see.
And like you said, it was usually a 5-year at best window. They had a 15-year window from when Colt McCoy gets hurt by Marcel Darius on the line, in 2009 national championship game, all the way until Nick Saban loses to Michigan, in that Rose Bowl game, right? That window of 15 years was absolute dominance. So for Alabama fans, this is a once in a lifetime deal.
Yeah, like Vince said, growing up, who the hell was Alabama? You know what I'm saying? They beat Miami that one game and they were an underdog, in the national championship. Mm-hmm. But Alabama was like, you had to tell me about how great they were. So this is uncharted territory for a lot of those folks, man. I hope they get used to getting their ass kicked every now and again.
Well, now they can go back like Auburn and start claiming national championships from the past if they need to. So we'll see how that all works out. Let's do a fun game. There are two huge stars in college football. We both and all of us here know who they are. It's about the coaches, and it's two coaches in particular. The greatest coach this century in the NFL, Bill Belichick at my alma mater, North Carolina. And of course, Coach Prime. You don't even have to say his last name anymore. He is his own brand. He is his own entity. So Coach Prime versus Coach Belichick, the ultimate propaganda war. It's not about the football. It's all about the messaging. It's all about the coverage. It's all about the conversation. So this year, we're going to figure out each week who wins between Coach Prime, Coach Belichick. Again, not about the football, just about the marketing and the messaging behind these programs. We're going to flip a coin each week, we believe. This is the first episode. We're getting all the things in order here. We're going to flip a coin, decide which one we want to hit, whether it's Coach Prime or Coach Belichick. Van, I look to you. Which one do you want to talk about first here, Prime or Belichick?
Belichick.
Oh, no.
Without a doubt. It's got to be Belichick. It's got to be Belichick. Coach Prime has so many different storylines. I think the football in Colorado is not nearly as interesting a topic of conversation as it was. My greatest curiosity about Coach Prime, should I say, as I try to be a decent talker, is like how his health is going to intersect with what happens on the field, right? There's just been so much that's happened. You get to a point, I hope Deion's okay. We're going to be watching Colorado football all year long to see how.
And luckily,
right?
Good news. We got good news for Deion. There was a lot of bad messaging coming out. A lot of people saying he wasn't going to coach this year. So it was actually great news when he had his press conference and announced he's back on the sideline. So that's good.
But rebuilt his intestine.
Rebuilt his intestines. Just God bless Deion and his whole family and everything, and everyone that he's still here. But a beauty queen from Massachusetts, is that where she's from? Is it from Massachusetts?
I thought it was like Maine. Maine. It was one at Maine.
A beauty queen from New England might be the coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. No. She might be coaching the team.
No, she's not coaching the team. She's coaching the branding.
She might send in some plays. Okay? She might call a couple of plays. She might call a couple of blitzes, man. I'll tell you what, if she did call in a blitz, he would put the play in. If she was watching the game from the crowd and she was like, I think there's some gap integrity that we need to address, or we're not using this player like that, we need to bring him on a blitz. He is so pussy whipped right now. He is sending that play in, and they are running that scheme. There's no part of his life that she does not have. She might be the coach of the team. We might see the first female head coach of a major college football program. They might, let's say if they go to the playoff, the players might dump the Gatorade on her. Okay? So, I am obsessed with what's going on in North Carolina right now. This is a movie. This is an 8-part Apple series.
Vic, you're so dumb, because this is so funny because, as you said all this, I'm like,
I got to plead the fifth during this segment, it sounds like.
No, just walk with me. I really respect Bill Belichick for this, because he looked at his life. He was just like, man, I'm not going to be able to get a job in the NFL, but man, I like North Carolina. I spent some time there. It's a beautiful place. I could coach a little bit, and it's not going to, everybody knows it's not going to affect his legacy. Like Bill Walsh had to step away from Stanford after coaching at the 49ers for so long. So, right? And then he's just like, this is the thing. And look, man, I'm a married man. I'm not being a creep here, okay? Just for the record, I have to let people know this is a creep so you don't accuse me of it later. There is no way a 73-year-old man thought he would ever see a naked 20-something-year-old body.
His whole shit is fucked up.
In his house again. Like, he was just like, he's like, oh, he never, this totally took his shit away. He's like,
his whole shit is fucked up right now.
Yeah,
his whole, Joe, I'm so glad you said it. His whole shit is fucked up.
Yeah.
He thought them days was over.
He never thought this would ever happen to him again.
Like
he was just like, man, a respectable 45-year-old, something like that, you know? But yeah.
Joel, this is the most right, put it lower third, this is the most right Joel's gonna ever, he thought his whole shit is fucked up right now. He is just like, sometimes he probably just stares at her and just does like this.
Yeah.
just like this. He never thought he would be in this situation again. This shit right now is the greatest shit. I've never seen it done like this before. Look how uncomfortable Tate is. I've never seen it.
It sounded like Coach Belichick won week 0 is what I'm hearing. You know what I mean?
He's definitely winning. I'm happy for him.
I mean, bro, think about your average 73-year-old man and the life they have to live. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude is like, man, I don't fuck convention. Like, you know, why do I? It used to be a time I used to always say, like, Johnny Carson, like, retired and disappeared. Like, you would just kind of, like, disappear when you retired and, like, you just kind of went off and lived a quiet life and played golf and nobody thought about you again.
Right? He just went away.
Right. But, like, Bill Belichick was just like, man, I'm not done coaching football, though. You know? Mm-hmm. And he was like, man, you know, I used to follow his ex-girlfriend on Instagram because the pictures were hilarious. Linda Holiday.
Mm-hmm. And she does not like the new girl, right?
Yeah, right. Like, but she was a very handsome, attractive, you know, respectably aged
Beauty
woman,
queen.
and they'd go to events.
Handsome,
yeah, right. Handsome.
Jesus.
Yeah, you know, but now he's just like, bro, like I mean, can you just imagine the things he says to, like, you know, I don't know if he calls Ernie a Corsi or something like that or whatever. But, you know, you're like, hey man, like, I just, bro.
I want y'all all, Tate, I want y'all all to go watch a movie. And the movie is called Harlem Nights.
Oh, my God.
Lela Rashawn plays a girl named Sunshine. Okay? Watch this. If y'all trying to figure out this Bill Belichick situation, watch the story of Sunshine. Now, in this movie, Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor, they run a juke joint. Not like the juke joint that y'all saw in Sinners, but like one of the juke joints, sort of backroom clubs in Harlem during Prohibition, something like that, right? Not really a juke joint. It's really an upscale underground club / lounge. And they in a battle with they in a battle with the police. Mm-hmm. And they need to pull a caper or a scam. So the late great Della Reese puts Lela Rashawn, a girl named Sunshine, on one of the opposition's guys to distract him. And what's happening to that guy who in the movie, and we should put this in the pod, picks up the phone, calls his wife and his family. His son answers the phone like, yo, put your mom on the phone. Mom comes to the phone. He says, look it, I ain't never coming home ever again. And then he hangs the phone up, right? So he tells his family, that's what Bill Belichick is right now. He's never coming home again, guys.
The story about how the woman gets called Sunshine, too. Like, I don't think we can say it here. I don't know that we can get into that.
Don't get fined.
But the reason that she's called Sunshine...
Why can't we say it? We got to say it. The reason why she's called Sunshine is because they say her pussy is so good that if you threw it up in the air, it would turn into sunshine.
Yeah.
So that is what Bill Belichick is up against right now. Let him live, man. I try to tell Bill this. Let him live, man.
Yeah.
I agree. So Bill Belichick, he's the winner of week 0. Let this man live. Let him coach some football. Great stuff. Great breakdown there. All right, now we're going to play a fun game. Contender, pretender, or sleeper, and not the one we were just talking about. We're going to go through the AP Top 25, and we're going to figure out who is a contender, a pretender, or a sleeper. You get one word here. Actually, you get more than one word, but we're going to start there with the first word. We'll start with Boise State at number 25. Joel, I'll go to you. Contender, pretender, or sleeper. Do you think they can actually get to the playoff?
Boise State?
Boise State.
Man, you know, the thing about Boise State is that they play one tough game. They play one game a year where they play somebody that doesn't have, there's somebody of equal talent. So I had to look at their schedule now. So they go to, oh man, okay. So they got Notre Dame. They'll lose at Notre Dame. They're at South Florida. That's a tough one, but they should be favored in every other game. That's enough to be the best G5 program.
If they lose one game, they're in, right? I mean,
So-
if it's a Notre Dame game, I think that's, they'll let that slide.
Well, let's set the stakes here. When you say contender, and I guess I could ask you this
Contender,
before the show.
can you be one of the 12 teams?
Okay, not champion, but can
Not
you make
champion,
the 12?
contender. Okay. I mean, if you get in the playoff, you're a contender, in my opinion. Maybe not SMU last year, or, you can point to some certain teams or whatever.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, if you can get in the final 12, I think you're a contender. So you say Boise State, contender. It's interesting because Dirk Cutter called plays last year, former Bucs coach. He's now the offensive analyst, and they got Nate Potter, who stepped up in the offensive coordinator spot. So that'll be interesting to see what that looks like. But Boise State, always good. Van said that they're a blue blood program to us on the phone the other day. So shout out to the Broncos for getting some love. So contender, we'll go number 24. Van, I go to you. Tennessee, contender, pretender, sleeper.
Pretender.
Done.
That's it.
Easy.
Mm-hmm.
Number 23, Texas Tech. I'll take that one. This is basically transfer you. I'm going to go pretender here unless you guys have any sort of pushback. I mean, they do have some talent coming in. Did just lose their running back from USC, who was supposed to be their kind of main character of the season. But Joel, looks like you think they could be a contender.
Oh, no. I mean, you absolutely agree with you. They're a pretender, man. I mean, Texas Tech is doing this shit where they're like, and they said we couldn't get people to Lubbock. Well, yeah, if you pay me $1 million, yeah. Like, I mean, they're acting like, they're doing some sort of great recruiting job. And I guess that does count as a great recruiting job in this area. But it's like, the reason people are coming to you is that you're paying them a lot of money. Like, Lubbock, chill out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, calm down, Lubbock. Come on. Next up, we got Iowa State, Van. Contender, pretender, sleeper. Are you a Rocco Beck guy?
So, I mean, they could win the Big 12.
Yeah.
They could win the Big 12. They could win.
Week 0 has a lot to do with it, right? Farmageddon over there, in Ireland. We'll know a lot about both those
They
teams.
could win the Big 12. I'm not ready to say contender, but I'm gonna go sleeper. For them.
I like sleeper for Iowa State. Matt Campbell got a lot of interviews, a lot of teams. Apparently, Carolina was going after Matt Campbell until Bill Belichick called and said he wanted the job. So, obviously, a hot commodity in the game. Ole Miss, Joel, contender, pretender, sleeper.
Man, I mean, Mississippi fans probably already hate me. I wrote a piece about how Lane Kiffin was, you know what? I don't even want to bring it up. Let's start on a good note, Ole Miss fans. I'm gonna let that shit go.
Be safe.
Contender, pretender. No, I mean, they're a pretender. I mean, they geared up last year. They did this tremendous NIL haul, brought in this whole team. That last year was their year. Like, that was the year they were building toward. It didn't work. So why would it work this year? And they've got, look, Austin Simmons is supposedly really good. They're the new quarterback, but Jackson Dart started for 3 years. Like, I don't think Jackson Dart's going to be a good NFL quarterback, but he was a solid college quarterback. And you got to think there's going to be something, a little bit of a drop off there in quarterback play. So yeah, pretender.
The reason I kind of believe is because Lane Kiffin is very out loud on Twitter. Not that he isn't always that way, but it just feels like he's confident about Austin Simmons. So, I mean, there's something to kind of buy into. And he is a little bit of a quarterback whisperer, as we know. So watch out for Ole Miss. Number 20, Indiana, Van. What do you think? Do you believe in the Hoosiers running it back this season?
Pretender.
You don't believe in Fernando Mendoza from California?
Pretender. I think that I think if we're talking about making the playoff,
okay,
that's not going to happen for Indiana this year. It's not going to happen for Indiana this year. Do I think, though, that Indiana is going to be a program that is going to be a thorn in the side of the Big Ten elite for a while? Yeah, I do. But I don't think they'll make the playoff this year, so I'm going pretender.
I like it. Number 19, we got Texas A&M. I'm going to go contender here. I'm a big Mike Elko fan. I think he's a really good head coach. I think they got a lot of talent. And this is just a program that somehow, between the cheers and all the sort of stuff they got going on around there, they just figure out a way to win football games. So I'll take them as a contender unless there's any sort of pushback there, but I'll go with A&M there. Joe, Oklahoma, the John Mateer, a.k.a. Moneyline Mateer, contender, pretender, sleeper.
So I actually, man, why that man said that was an inside joke, I've got them as a sleeper. So I know this is a year that Brent Venables is coaching for his job, but the one thing that dude can do is coach defense. He's taking back over the calls of the defense. So they got John Mateer, And like, that's great. Like, he's probably one of the best transfer portal quarterbacks, depends on what you think about him versus Carson Beck, whatever. But he's going to be good. He's got his offensive coordinator that came with him from Wazoo, right? Dog, people are not talking about in Arbuckle. Yeah. Nobody's talking about Jaden Ott being their running back there, man. Like, Jaden Ott was really good running back for Cal. Now, I know he got hurt last year a little bit, but that's a really big addition. I think that they'll be able to find receivers. Again, it's Oklahoma. They may not be at the level that they were, a few years ago when Lincoln Riley was there, but I think that they'll be able, with Mateer and Ott and a revamped offensive line, to do some things. And then you've got, Brent Venables on the 1s and 2s on defense. I think that's a really good team. They'll be 5-0 going into Texas this year, right?
I think with Oklahoma, with Oklahoma, people wonder about the organizational stability and whether or not they found what their stride as a program enough. I agree with you about the personnel, though. I think they have some players that can do. I just wonder if people. Let me ask you, Joel. At this point in his role or his career as Oklahoma coach, how close are you to being over the Venables experiment, or do you think he's getting to a point to where he's going to have them back to the perch that they were under Lincoln Riley?
Man, it's really tough. That's a good question, because I think that Venables, and when he went there, I thought, oh, he's a perfect fit for this guy. I think he seems like the right, he gets that place. He's a good guy. He's a really gifted coach. It just seemed like the right fit, in the mold of the Bob Stoops era, right? But the thing is, man, is that if he has another bad year or another underwhelming year, you kind of got to fire him. Because, you can't have Texas be so good, right next to you. Tate, you've owned Texas for the last 20 years. Texas went into the SEC. They're much better than you, and there would not be any evidence that you're ever going to catch up with them. So he has to do good this year, but I don't know, man. They'll be 5-0, like I said, going into Texas week. They're at South Carolina, but they don't have to play Florida. They don't have to play A&M. They get Mizzou and LSU at home. It's a doable schedule. I could see them being 10-2, and that being enough to keep the Brent Venables experience going another year.
And they might have their next head coach right there as their offensive coordinator, right? Arbuckle is going to be a guy that's up for a lot of different jobs. So if Venables goes south or the defense isn't as good as it should be and the offense is incredible because last year it was atrocious, then I think, they can just look at Arbuckle and maybe bump him up to head coach, which would be an insane story to go from, at Wazoo with Cam Ward, lose him to Miami, have Mateer there last year, end up at Oklahoma, and he could end up being the head coach there. So it's kind of a fascinating dynamic. I still feel like they need a CEO, like you said, Van. They have a great defensive mind in Venables. They have a great offensive mind in Arbuckle. I just wish they had a Stoops, a CEO of the whole situation.
Man, that feels like that's would be a good-ass job for Bob Stoops, man, because that seemed like he could. It's not chilling, but it's kind of like being that guy. I'm the face of the program, right?
Right. Handle all that, and we'll handle the football. Van, next up, Kansas State, contender, pretender, sleeper, week 0 star here. And we got Avery Johnson. Not that Avery Johnson, but quarterback Avery Johnson.
So, the thing about these Big 12 teams is that Kansas State can win the Big 12. I think that Arizona State is the still, to me, the class of the Big 12. But, Kansas State, they can win the Big 12. So you can't put pretender for any of these teams because they could win their conference and find themselves inside of the college football playoff.
And it's a one-bid league, right? I mean, for the Big 12, at least. That's what it feels like, unless they can propagate their way to a 2-bid league.
There's been some things happening with the Big 12 organizationally where they've tried to really protect and promote getting that second team in. It's going to be tough this year unless a couple of these seasons go a lot differently than what we think they will. But I'm going to go contender, man. Kansas State could make it there. At the least, these teams that are ranked, that are really making moves from the Big 12, that have strong teams and strong head coaches and strong philosophies. At the very least, they're sleepers to me. But Kansas State, I like a little bit more. LSU still needs their revenge on Kansas State. We'll get it. But Kansas State, I like a little bit more. I'm going to go contender for Kansas State.
Yeah, Dylan Edwards, another name to know. He was the star for Colorado a couple years ago, and that TCU opener game had 4 touchdowns. He's now starring for Kansas State. Again, that's how college football works now. You see faces in new places, and you try to figure out who they are, and you're like, wait a second, is that who I think it is? Number 16, we got SMU, Joel, contender, pretender, sleeper, Rhett Lashley, talking a lot to the media about his disdain for the SEC. Does this turn into production for this team this year?
Well, man, they bring back. So I guess it kind of depends on what you think of Kevin Jennings. Because if you believe in the Kevin Jennings that that we saw in that game against Penn State,
Penn State, that was like the ultimate. Like, I am shell shocked. Right?
Have you ever felt sorry? Like how many times have you ever been watching a college football game and felt sorry for somebody? And
I like him so much. That was the thing. I like him as a player so much.
Me too.
But it wasn't happening that day.
It wasn't happening that day. And man, it's actually kind of crazy too. Do you guys know that SMU led the nation in sacks last year? Yeah. But I mean, they lost a lot of that production. So that's that's not going to be the same thing. They've got to replace that. They don't get as easy of a schedule as they had last year. So, I mean, I guess I don't think they're going to be bad. I wish, I'm going to save my Sonny Dykes commentary for later. But I don't, it feels wrong to say pretender because I think they'll be solid and they're much better than they used to be. But
can they be a top 2 team in the ACC?
No.
Yes.
You think they can be? You think they can be? You think because obviously Clemson's the class of the conference.
Yeah,
PFF has Clemson ranked as the number 1 team in the country, right? A lot of people high on Clemson. We'll see where they are in a couple of weeks when the Tigers come calling. But can Miami is still we're waiting to see what Miami is. You think that the SMU can be one of the top 2 teams in the ACC?
Wow.
We're split here.
I think SMU or Louisville would be the team that I think number 2.
Wow. Well, okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess the thing is when you start going down to Louisville is the next thing. It's like, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess it's like whatever the thing is it depends on what you think of Miami. And I guess we'll talk about that in a minute.
I still have to see from Miami. I've been burnt plenty of times with Miami. I've watched a lot of Miami football in the ACC. So that's my, that's my concern. And I do think SMU learned a lot last year, especially Jennings, in that moment. Like he got culture shocked by the Penn State whiteout. He was like, what the hell is this?
Can I tell a quick story?
Yeah, please.
About SMU. So September 14th last year, I'm sitting in a chair and I'm watching SMU versus TCU. That's our big rival, right?
Yeah.
TCU has owned
Fort
that
Worth
rivalry
versus
for the last
Dallas.
few years. Yeah, we've owned we won 18 of the last 20 or some shit like that. Whatever. It's not exactly like, but it felt like that. I'm watching that game, and then I'm like, man, SMU, we can't stop. Oh no, SMU's better than us. They're kicking our ass. This is not a fluke. And I'm getting steadily getting madder and madder. I'm like, what the fuck? And they scored 62 points against us. So yeah, man, SMU's got something. But the good thing about that day, which I'm ending with, my daughter was born later that day. So then I was like, oh, okay. Well, then it ended up being a good day. So it saved me from being embarrassed that SMU had kicked our ass like that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, the real life stuff can save you from the football pain. And that's something as a fan, we all know that feeling where you have the excitement, the anxiety, whatever you want to call it, going into a game, and then you leave with just pure pain. So it can move quickly. All right, we got the top 15 teams. They're all contenders because they're in the top 15. Unless you see a pretender that is in the top 15, I'll give you one pretender that you can find in the top 15. Van, I'll lay it up to you. Is there one that you see? I already have mine. I kind of already mentioned it with Miami, but is there a team in the top 15 that you think is an ultimate pretender that cannot be a team that could win it all?
That is a team that cannot be a team. Oregon. Yeah, I don't see Oregon right now there's just too many questions with me for Oregon right now. All these teams have questions. It's either really Oregon or Alabama. All these teams have questions. But I maybe would have chosen Miami had you not chose them. But Carson Beck is going to be dominant. But Oregon, I think losing Stewart, relying on the 5-star to come in and right away beat. I just think their wide receiver room right now and what they're going to have to do to make up for some of the production that they are going to not be able to count on from their wideouts with a brand new quarterback is a recipe for them to really have problems moving the ball on offense through the passing game. So I'm not high on Oregon this year at all.
You're out on Oregon. Joel, one pretender that you see in the top 15. Obviously, South Carolina seems like a one that a lot of people are pointing to. Arizona State, potentially. But what do you see?
See, I think Arizona State actually is going to be good. I was prepared to say Arizona State, and I kind of looked at the roster, and I was like, man, they got a lot coming back, and they got the best quarterback and receiver in the league. Mm-hmm. And the reason people keep saying South Carolina is because that only makes sense. South Carolina, you will never I will not fall for that. Like, you're not gonna, no banana in the tailpipe with me. Like, I know that South Carolina is not going to do that. They got really lucky last year. I know Lenore Sellers looks like a great prospect or whatever, but like the production had not quite matched the potential, the athletic potential. They got it, and they have look, dog, this schedule. They got to go to Missouri. They got to go to LSU. Are they better than Oklahoma? I don't know. I don't think so. Alabama has a reason to beat their head in this year. They got to go to Ole Miss. That's a game they could lose. They got to go to A&M. That's a tough place to play at. They're not beating Clemson again this year. So, I think they're a pretender.
Oh, there you go. Let's do a trap game tracker. There's a trap game every single year. Last year, obviously, the number one trap game was Alabama, number one in the country at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt beat them for the first time since the moon landing. They also beat a number one team for the first time in program history. We have the Arkansas game that I mentioned earlier with Tennessee. That was the definition of a trap game. There's plenty of trap games across the board. Van, what's your trap game that you've been tracking heading into the season?
Obviously, it's going to be LSU related, and it's LSU Arkansas. At home.
At home. They struggle at home. What's going on with that?
LSU, Arkansas at home. We cannot seem to just dominate the Hogs like we need to, man. Like we last year we put a good smack down on them, but just when the Hogs always get us at a time really where we beat up and where the psyche of the team is always in a weird spot. So you're coming off A&M and Alabama. Of course, you have the bye before the Alabama game, but it's in a spot where LSU really needs to put a great performance together, and I look at it as a trap game. I think Arkansas is a trap game for LSU almost every year. I hate them. And the reality is that I looked at this game. Shout out to Preston Guy over at Tiger Bay. We were talking about some LSU football on his show a couple of days ago. And this is always a game that's a penciled-in trap game for LSU. You don't know what the weather's going to be like. I mean, we're in Baton Rouge, so it shouldn't be as cold as what it gets up there in Arkansas. But it's a trap game. It's a trap game.
Yeah, lock it in. Trap game there. Joe, what do you have scheduled and circled for a trap game?
So if you happen to believe that Texas is the best team in the country, as I do, and if you happen to believe that this is the best team they have in 20 years, as I do, that you think that they're probably going to run the regular season. And then they got the game against Oklahoma, where anything can happen. Like it's losing to Oklahoma is not necessarily a tell about a Texas season. But bro, they have to go to Florida the week before that game against Oklahoma. And you know what I'm saying? And that's going to the swamp before Florida is not a school that kids in Texas grow up caring about. Like, that's just it will be an important game. It's a big SEC game, but that is not the same thing as like playing against Oklahoma. And so you could imagine not necessarily looking ahead, but it's, one of those things. And I mean, look, Florida might have the best team in the country, and we'll never know because they have the hardest schedule in the world. If you look at their schedule, they had South Florida.
And they have the injuries, right? We don't even know who's going to play for them.
Texas A&M, Georgia, Florida State. Their schedule is crazy, but because they're going to be pretty grizzled, because I think DJ Lagway is maybe the best quarterback in the country, man. Like Texas, so that's going to be something. We'll learn a lot about Texas, about how they play in that game.
Yeah, and if you want to be a fan of DJ Lagway, go watch the Netflix Any Given Saturday. He's a lot of fun. You can tell he's a cool kid, and obviously true freshman last year, took over for that team when Mertz goes down. Just an electric player. Hopefully he'll be healthy for that game, and that should be a good one. Arch versus Lagway. I'm going to go Clemson at Georgia Tech. This is 9:13. Georgia Tech, they love to spoil the party for anybody, especially at noon in Bobby Dodd Stadium. It's just something about it. Georgia Tech, Haynes King is probably toughest quarterback in the country. I know Pavia probably has his own, argument for that, but I'm a Haynes King guy. I think this is going to be a year that Key takes this program to the next level. They have talent. And Georgia Tech, everybody still kind of thinks of Paul Johnson and the triple option and everything when you think of the program. It's a new day, it's a new era. And I just think this is a trap game, to a T for the Clemson Tigers.
Georgia Tech football.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I like to watch a Georgia Tech game.
Man,
I was in Atlanta the last time, and they have an open stadium. Yeah. You can walk around the stadium. So I was walking through the Georgia Tech campus. The Georgia Tech kids desperately think that they're MIT. You could tell.
Yeah. They love math.
You could tell. You could tell that they think, hey, just to let you know, there's some smart shit over here. You know, this Georgia Tech.
We're up to something.
Like, I'm walking through their whole
I'm
campus.
here because I want to
engineering,
be.
son.
I'm here because I want to be.
I chose, this Georgia Tech.
I
There's
want to
some
be in
smart
Atlanta.
shit. We got some smart shit happening here. They think that they feel like it's MIT on the campus of Georgia Tech. But I walked throughout their whole, they got a cute little stadium. It's not like a stadium like other stadiums that you see in the SEC. It's cute. It's cute. They got about 2,500 people can fit into the stadium on a good day. But I like watching their football. I like Haynes King. I like the fact that Georgia Tech always seems to play tougher than what the makeup of their team is, especially just recently. So, I think that most teams that play them is going to be a trap game because they play so fucking hard, man.
Yeah, and a 12 o'clock kickoff against Georgia Tech. Nobody wants to play that game except for Georgia Tech. And like I said, Bobby Dodd can get loud real quick if it's the right setting against a team like Clemson. Let's do a fun exercise here. We're going to do top 5 every single week. It'll be different things. Top 5 this, top 5 that. This is just to get people into the game and to understand what we love about college football, specifically players that we love. So top 5 all-time favorite college football players. Van, I'll start with you. Who's your top 5?
Okay, this is top 5. Badger. Burrow. Let's get the LSU guys out of the way. Badger, Burrow, Herb Tyler.
Wow. Okay.
Herb
that sounds
fucking
cool.
Tyler. All right. Shout out to Herb Tyler.
His middle name. That's
right.
right.
I could go to so many people from LSU. I could go Rondell Mealy. What about Rondell Mealy? What about Demetrius Hookfin? What about Marcus Spears? What about Michael Clayton? What about
Brandon
Matt Mock?
Tofield?
What about Skylar Green? What about these people? I could give you a whole bunch of people. But it's Badger, Burrow, Herb Tyler, non-Tigers, 2 of them. Tommy Frazier, unfucking stoppable. I appreciate you, Tommy Frazier, because Florida thought they was the shit. You taking advantage of LSU when they was down. You ran into Tommy Frazier and you couldn't fuck with it. Tommy Frazier and Lawrence Phillips, who had some issues.
R.I.P.
But ran all over you. Love Tommy Frazier in Nebraska from the early to mid-90s. And then the last one, we're going to Colorado State.
This is your guy.
This is my guy.
Man.
Bradley Van Pelt. Okay.
So good.
He said
this is my guy.
We have to
Colorado
say
State football.
He talked about this shit for real.
The Ram. Bruh, y'all don't understand how much I love this fucking sport, man. I'm watching this sport. I'm watching it on a random Friday night, and I see a young Caucasian Viking named Bradley Van Pelt throw for 3,000, run for 1,000. Motherfucker could not be stopped. And he was a dickhead with it. Like Bradley Van Pelt was one of those. He was one of those guys, man. You ever seen the meme of the Louisville pitcher striking somebody out in the College World Series, and then the guy staring him down, and you can read his lips, and the Louisville pitcher's going, "Fuck you, fuck you."
Right.
You seen that meme?
Yeah, Louisville.
That's
great.
Bradley Van Pelt behind center, playing for Colorado State, man. That's my guy. Those my 5, man. Bradley Van Pelt. Where you at today, brother?
I love it, Joel. You top 5.
Okay, so I don't have anybody as fun as Bradley Van Pelt, but
or Tommy Frazier, man,
or Tommy Frazier. Well, so Steve McNair, man, my old man took me to see Steve McNair in Alcorn State when they came to play at Sam Houston State, bro. And the thing that I say about that game is that you could hear the passes echo off the pads of the Alcorn State receivers. Like that, you could hear it, like the dude was just fucking incredible. Just my favorite, just totally revolutionized what I thought college quarterbacking should be. Vince Young. And I hate anybody that knows me will tell you, I hate Texas. Like I don't want anything good to ever happen to them. Vince Young is so undeniable, so powerful, south side of Houston, off West Orange Street. What's up? I had to root for him, bro. I saw Vince Young play his final high school game with my pops, and I just fell in love with that dude, man. Like he's just unbelievable. Leland McElroy.
Oh, wow.
Is that I was a high school running back, and I would run in I would be trying to do cuts like Leland McElroy. Like you just see me, I have a ball in my hand, and I'd be trying to do this kind of shit on you. You know what I'm saying? So Leland McElroy, Terrell Buckley.
Oh,
come on, man. I'm thinking of 90s college football.
Yeah, I love
you taking me back,
dude,
bro.
with the handkerchief and shit like that, bro.
Yeah.
The do-rag, you know what I'm saying? And it's just Terrell Buckley was such a badass. And Napoleon Kaufman.
Oh, Napoleon Kaufman.
Yeah, man. Just beautiful. I remember I saw it was a season opening game against Ohio State when they had Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson on the defensive line. They played against Napoleon Kaufman. And all I can say about Napoleon Kaufman was beautiful. He's just a beautiful runner. Like I just remember watching
Raiders great. Napoleon Kaufman, right? Went on to the Raiders.
Yeah, just look effortless.
I say one thing about Steve McNair. We was watching Steve McNair. Steve McNair, rest in peace, Steve McNair. Alcorn State was playing Southern. We watching the game, and my dad looks around. Rest in peace to my father too. My dad looks around. My dad goes, "Can anybody explain to me why this boy went to Alcorn?" He was like, "Can anybody explain to me why that right there is at Alcorn? Why did this boy go to Alcorn?" Like there was
Fair
nothing.
question.
That wasn't supposed to be in the SWAC, dog.
No,
like
man.
that's some Jerry Rice. I'm sure that's the same way they felt when Jerry Rice, Walter Payton was in the SWAC. We look around, it's like there's nothing we can do. We gonna lose. We gonna lose. There's nothing we can do with the boys. There's nothing like this. We gonna lose. Like I don't understand how this boy. Look at the size of that boy. Look how he runs. I don't understand how this boy ended up at Alcorn. He was so frustrated.
He was so cold.
Because we had heard that he was good, but watching Steve McNair in person in college was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Words could not describe the numbers and the games that he used to put together. That's a fantastic pick.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I love that. I love that story, too. Great story. My top five, you mentioned just bad motherfuckers. Julius Peppers was unbelievable. I remember a game against Georgia Tech, to go back to Georgia Tech at home. The quarterback of Georgia Tech, can't remember his name. It's kind of slipping my mind right now, but he pushed Julius after, like he got sacked. He got up and pushed Julius. Julius took him and tackled him all the way in the end zone. No flag, no nothing. You know what I mean? Just like absolutely just pulverized this guy. And I was a kid, and I was like, that's my favorite player ever. He also had like a pick six against Duke where he like did the Superman dive in, just incredible. And then also the coolest part of Peppers and Ronald Curry is that they get done with football, they lose the Peach Bowl or whatever bowl they were in, and then they join the basketball team, and it was just like the best thing ever.
Nobody. So like, you remember Courtney Brown, the defensive end for Penn State?
Yeah.
Like he played with LeVar Arrington. Like nobody looked like those people at that time. Like nobody looked like Julius Peppers at the time that he like rolled out that edition.
It looked unfair, yeah.
You know
I was
what I'm
like, and he was wearing 49. I was like, man, I don't even understand where this guy came from, but he's like an alien, and he was incredible. So that's my Carolina bias. Get out of the way. Pat White of West Virginia.
Man.
I mean, you talk about just like Steve Slayton, Pat White, Noel Devine when he got there, like all those guys. Just love that West Virginia team. Shout out to Rich Rod. He's back with West Virginia. Cam Newton, there's been a lot of like relitigating of Cam Newton's career. Cam Newton almost went to North Carolina. Butch Davis tried to get him with the bag. Mississippi State tried to get him with the bag. He ends up going to Auburn for whatever Cecil and God knows, you know, what it was. But regardless, I watched Cam Newton that year with my mouth just like jaw dropped the entire time.
Jesus
and every
Christ.
Well, you know, come on.
Wash it with your mouth.
Whatever they paid Cam Newton, it wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough, right?
Hell
You're talking about $4 million. I'd pay him $10 million to go be the quarterback for a year.
Man, Cam Newton was playing LSU. Cam broke. I'm like, PP got him. It's Patrick Peterson.
Who was a stud, by the way. One of the best people I've ever seen.
And I was like, man, what the fuck, bro? Like, I was like, what the hell is this dumbass shit?
Yeah.
Like, he was a freak, man.
It was unbelievable. I remember like that national championship game, they played that B.O.B. song, like Don't Let Me Fall, like leading into it, like with the piano ballad. And it was just Cam Newton. It was basically like an Under Armour commercial. And I was like, man, this guy, talk about aura. He had it to the max. Calvin Johnson, before he was Megatron at Georgia Tech. I mean, this is when they're trying to put in an option, but they can't because Calvin Johnson is Calvin Johnson. Yeah, right. Stud, one of the best people that I ever watched play football. Ed Reed, the speech at halftime. I put my heart in this shit. You know what I mean? They're up at halftime, but he still went in there and just had one of the most, incredible speeches of all time. And then my last one was a +1, and I wanted to get your guys' reaction to this. Malcolm Kelly at Oklahoma. Malcolm Kelly freestyle. After the Oklahoma game with Sam Bradford in the back. He's like, PT throwing that thing and it's humming. You know what I mean?
And it's humming. That's right.
That's like one of like that to me was just like pure college football, like they win that game and it's like young Sam Bradford and he's just like, they put the Ronald Jenkins beat on it, Great moment in
you
college
boys,
football
they my
history.
brothers, they my friends.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Malcolm Kelly, that's what's up, man. I think he was a TC wide receivers coach, I think maybe last year or something like that.
Shout out to Malcolm Kelly.
I typically
love
don't
to
like
see
when
that.
these motherfuckers start rapping, but I like that one.
That was the coldest freestyle ever, and it was just like the whole team wanted him to do it. It wasn't like he was trying to make it about himself, you know what I mean? And at first he's like a little shy, and then he gets into it and he starts going. Cam Newton also had amazing freestyle at Blaine College.
Rob Greg Olson.
The 7
floor boys.
What 7 floor
boys?
G-Rig.
What about Greg Olson? What about? We can get to some controversial shit.
He was too close to the Beastie Boys and shit back then. You know what I mean? Like he thought he could get away with it. Let's do a couple segments specific to you guys before we get out of here. This is a fun one. Joel, you played football, so we got a good one. I played, you didn't. What are you seeing in college football as a former player, and what should we be looking for that we might not be seeing as like a casual viewer or a fan?
Well, actually, I just have like one specific thing to look for in week one, okay? And this is sort of like a culture thing. This isn't about, because, nothing has happened yet in terms of players or whatever, and we can talk about diagram or whatever. Did you all watch the Military Bowl last year, by any chance?
I did.
Yeah.
You did? Okay.
ECU, NC State, a battle.
So I was watching that game, and I could tell that North Carolina State didn't want to be there, and East Carolina didn't want to be anywhere else, right?
Yes.
And I tweeted something midway through the game. I'm like, man, the way these motherfuckers playing, it might be a fight, okay? So, and there was a huge brawl after the game. Everybody got mad. But do people remember that NC State had been in a fight the week before against UNC? So, like, they had 2 fights to end the season, okay?
It's real.
I don't know. I don't think that's a record. I don't think anybody has ever. I've never heard of a college football team having. So anyway, it's just it's a culture thing. So and then they had this terrible bowl loss to ECU. So the thing that I'm looking for North Carolina State is this is a player like, man, you had all year like ECU's probably talking shit about you, bro. You probably back home, in North Carolina, or whatever. Somebody talks, like, hey man, you know what I'm saying? That's you weren't talking that shit in the Military Bowl. You probably all that kind of shit going on social media or whatever. If you have any pride about yourself, North Carolina State, because do you know who North Carolina State opens up against this year?
ECU, baby.
ECU. I've never heard of this before, right? If you fight the end of the year and then you open your very next game is against that team. If this is like a Dave Doran status check. If North Carolina State cannot show up for that game, brother, what are we here to do? What are we here for now, right? So, this is more about the culture of the game, about just being like, yo, man, if you've got some pride in yourself, because so much about college football is about the emotion of it and like the way you spend all off season. So much. This is why the football games are so short. Football is like 0.5% of the time you spend on football. Like the rest of it is the working out, the talking with your boys, getting excited for the year, all that other shit. Right? Like that's the part that you get, that you have to amp yourself up for this very small part of this endeavor that you've chosen. And so, yeah, man, like I'm just curious to know, how's North Carolina State going to respond?
It's funny because like Carolina will overlook State will overlook ECU, and it's like, it's like Marsha, Jan, and Cindy, right? Like it's like the 3 sisters, and like they're all just like, one's trying to get the attention of the other.
What show is that? What was that?
Brady Bunch.
That was the Brady Bunch?
Wow,
yeah,
I've heard of them.
Yeah.
So you don't know WKRP Cincinnati, but you know the Brady. Okay. No, I get it. Brady Bunch very smart. Yeah.
All right.
Did you watch the Brady Bunch? I
watched like when they made that movie, with Ben Stiller's wife, like that version when she was Marsha, and then I worked myself back. Plus my grandparents, like I watched a lot of Three's Company. I was like, this guy's living the life.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Tate. You guys, Tate is considerably younger than us. He's doing very well in life.
I'm trying to figure it out.
I had to get gray hair to get into this kind of position. You know what I'm saying?
Van said I had to shave my head to be the host of this college football show. So we'll see if I get in that position. Yeah, we'll see.
If we're going to appeal to the audiences, that I think you should buzz that shit. You know what I mean? Buzz it. Tate.
Start going down with Rosillo and Manhattan Beach, lifting a little bit. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. Yeah, just try to, get the look down. We got that. Joel played, you didn't. Remember that. Big Van on campus now as our next segment. Before we get into your specific Big Van on campus for this week, Bill Simmons reached out to me and said he wanted to get your top 3 campuses before, because, again, it's Big Van on campus. So what are your top 3 campuses, Van? This is the Bill Simmons.
I've been to campuses like, okay.
Had you been to that you're just like, these are my top 3 I've been to?
Okay, so
I'm mentioning this.
One of them I went to just recently. UCLA is a gorgeous campus.
No, it is beautiful.
UCLA is a gorgeous
don't
campus.
Get me started.
A gorgeous campus.
Yeah.
Like, why you don't like
Westwood's
UCLA,
great.
Joe?
No, man, dog, that is like my dream school. I love UCLA. It's
beautiful
gorgeous.
campus.
Beautiful. Yeah.
The second one, Tiger fans gonna get mad at me, but the University of Georgia is a great,
Really nice.
great campus.
Really nice campus.
I'm not
Between
picking
the hedges.
LSU specifically here, guys, because obviously LSU and Southern's campus are my 2 favorite campuses. But if the campuses that I've been to, and I've been to a lot of college, it would be UCLA, it would be the University of Georgia. Gorgeous campus. Sneaky good school, too, by the way.
Really good school.
Yeah.
Sneaky
You could
good
have a
school.
3.5 to get in the
They
drones.
ain't just taking anybody.
Yeah, sneaky good school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is the University of Washington. The University of Washington, a big fan of Seattle, like Seattle. Okay,
Yeah, me
the
too.
University of Washington, you go up there, the school is right over there. It's got the whole, I like the
the
University of Washington. When I visited there, I did some work there, I had some talks there, did some stuff there. And those are 3 campuses that I remember really enjoying my time being on those campuses.
We are really in alignment. Like I'm not saying that would have been my 3, but like I think I would not argue with that at all. Like all of those campuses are gorgeous. That's really good. Man, damn. Make me want to go to
Way to
Seattle.
go, Van. And I prompted and threw that at you. So shout out to you. But now to your actual segment. Big fan on campus. What is on your mind this week on campus?
So there's a culture war happening right now, and the culture war is happening over sorority girls, typically white, dancing in front of their sororities at schools all over the place. They come out, and all of a sudden you hear a Kesha song. Hey, can you get my? I don't wanna take and then they come back and they do
Or like a Murphy Lee song that's been like dubbed and edited into like some like poppy version.
Or
right?
like one of those TikTok songs. Throw it back, catch it, and then they're out there dancing and they're doing their thing. And it set off a real culture war. It's like some people are like, this is America, with undertones of this is America. Y'all know the undertones. And then other people are like, this is whack. This is stupid. There's not enough diversity in it. None of that shit matters to me. You know what matters to me? When them sorority girls start dancing, that means it's time for college football.
That's right.
That's what it means.
It's a rush
None of that other stuff.
That's real.
Fox News, you're not going to get me. The other people, y'all not going to get me. Y'all not going to take my mind off of the ball. When the sorority girls start dancing, that means it's time for college football. I'm not going to tell y'all that story that I told y'all about my experience at the Pike House back in the day. I'm not going to tell you that story.
I
One
really
day we'll
almost
get
feel
that
like
story.
you kind of do.
I might tell the story about what happened at the Pike House and my experience with the frat boys later on. But I'm not going to tell y'all. But the sorority girls dancing, are they on beat? Maybe. Are they doing flips? Kinda. Are they rich? Certainly. None of that matters.
Yeah.
Let them dance and let these games begin. That's what it means. All the brothers, all the players, everybody that sees this happening, that's your sign to lock in about what they're doing at Kappa Alpha, what they're doing at Delta Chi, whatever the name of these places are. When you see them girls dancing, that means it's time for you to get out on the field and make a play. And I'm excited about that.
Man, the thing is though, man, because Van, you just fuck up. Like you. What would, like, if you were watching that, like, you have a partner and they come and see you and they come on their phone and they say you watching that, like, what would they say to you?
Well, I don't see it in my feed. As a matter of fact, I gotta tell y'all a quick inside story. So I was doing a television show and the sorority thing had started. I only see it when it's aggregated on the news, right? And like I'm doing the guy comes out and the guy goes, yeah, everybody's making a big deal about the sorority stuff. We're on a panel for a television show that I do sometimes, and one of the guys goes, yeah, all I'm seeing on my feed is these sorority videos. And the rest of the panelists look at each other like, I'll just let them know, I'm like, hey, your algorithm is feeding you that based upon other stuff that you watch. So I hope that you know that you just told the rest of us. So my whole feed isn't the sorority girls. I see it when someone aggregates it and then sends it around. Okay?
Right.
So I might have different stuff on my feed, but if you getting the 19 and 20-year-old girls dancing, just want to let you know that's probably thinking that he was super embarrassed.
It's like
we
next door. It's probably like next door exactly what you like. They say, hey, you might like this. You know?
For you, Tap.
For you,
yeah.
Yeah, the algorithm always knows. So you cannot hide from the algorithm. Again, big van on campus. The sorority girls, let them dance.
Let them dance. That just means the season's about to start. Let them dance.
We need touchdown dances. We need ladies dancing outside of sororities. It's also part of recruitment, right? Yeah.
I just want to let y'all know. I don't want to read. Joel is a writer. I was following Joel and all the stuff that Joel's done way before this. I'm just for the writers out there. I don't want to read 2,500 worlds in the sorority girls, bro. Find something else, man. I don't want to read it. I don't want to read 2,500 worlds in the sorority girl. Kick the ball off. Kick the fucking ball off now.
And I'll second that. I don't want to read about Bill Bellechek's sorority girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to read that either, New York.
That's different.
I think that's a real journalistic service that's being performed by the New Yorker.
You're not gonna get away with that. You're not gonna know. We want to know.
I mean, New York Post is all over that shit. New York Post. Man, you should have your programs in the New York Post, man.
No, she's starting the NIL collective. It's different. She's involved.
I'm okay if TMZ's doing it, but when it was the New Yorker, it threw me. When there was a cartoon of her, I was like, wait a second. We got to stop this.
She has changed that man's life.
Never coming home.
Yeah. Well, college football has changed our lives. Last thing we're going to do on the show before we get out of here, we're going to do a running list of things we love about college football, whether it's an anecdote, player, moment, whatever it is. And then we'll get out of here. And again, this is going to be weekly. We're going to be doing this on Wednesdays. We're going to be going live on Saturdays. Todd McShay will also be going live with Minch on Saturdays as well. So we're locked in for college football season. So the running list, one anecdote, Joel, that you love about college football, and then we'll get out of here.
Wow. Okay. I went and played ball at TCU for a couple of years, 96, 97. And
great times.
Yeah, great time. We were terrible. My coach got fired, and then that's when they had the renaissance after that. But the one thing I think about, and, I didn't play football very long, didn't have a very successful career, got out of it, got into journalism. That worked out a lot better. And so I was kind of at a distance from the program. But the one thing I think about, man, and not to get too corny or whatever about it, man, I saw the growth of so many brothers that I came in with, like dudes that didn't care about shit, man, about like, you know what I mean? Like it was just like, it was all about football. And maybe not, but for football, they might not have gone to college, like just being real. Like they wouldn't probably had the grades or whatever. And so like, I'm friends with these people on Facebook, and I can see their lives, and like they're taking their kids to school and they live in like nice houses and suburbs. Like I've seen like a generational change, right? Like from their circumstances before. And like football can do that, man. Like college football can do that for you. Like, so when Nick Saban and people talk about like get back to the academic model, like I don't totally dismiss it because I understand that like it can be a very pivotal, generationally, like family changing experience for some of these brothers to get the opportunity to do this stuff, man. And I really find like it's really meaningful to me when I can like look on there and I'll be like, yo, man, I remember when Chuck wasn't, going to class and all this other shit. Now he's married, 3 kids, got a pretty, stable middle class income job or whatever, man. So yeah, man, that's what I love about college football, like what it can do for people and how it can change lives.
I love it. Van, what about you?
I love the truce of Saturday. The cultural truce that exists in places like where I'm from in Baton Rouge that happens on Saturday when we see those societies, to me, those cultures operating in their peak form. You see people from all different walks of life uniting around one thing, right? And that thing is what's happening on the football field and what's happening outside the stadium. If you find yourself at a Southern University game, if you find yourself at an LSU game, you find yourself in the midst of a celebration that's centering around watching these young men play football. Like put their bodies on the line for their state, for their town, not for, well, it used to be not for a bunch of money, but it wasn't about that before. It was about New Iberia. It was about Donaldsonville. It was about Opelousas. It was about Baton Rouge. It was about Monroe. It was about Shreveport. It was about New Orleans. It was about Lake Charles. It was about all of those things coming together in a celebration of the culture of the state where we come from and us fighting for that culture yard by yard on the field. And if you were a visitor and you came into that place, after a couple of drinks, we might be the meanest people in the world. But before, and you were walking around LSU, you were walking around the campus, you're going to meet people who feed you. You're going to meet people who say hello to you. You're going to meet people who tell you how much your team sucks over a beer. And there has not been one experience in my lifetime growing up in the American South that comes close to what college football can be on a Saturday when it's time to watch a game. It's amazing. And it has not, despite all of the changes that we've seen, despite the fact that we live in the South, an inherently imperfect society and culture, it has never changed and never let me down. And so I'm loyal to it as long as it's loyal to me, and I don't think things will ever change.
Absolutely. The hospitality, the pageantry, it's a religion. And I had this quote. I love this book, A Season of Saturdays. Michael Weinreb wrote this book. There was the quote in it. There's a strange beauty about returning every Saturday to the places where we came of age. It allows us as adults to feel like true believers, even if that no longer means what we thought it did when we were young. And I feel like that kind of sums up the college football experience. Like I get like the feeling of being a kid, you know what I mean? I get that itch again where it's just like, man, I love this. And I think there's a beauty in that. And it's a beautiful sport. The tailgate is a beautiful communal experience.
Do you feel like I feel like when you smell like a freshly cut football field anywhere, like in September? You know what I mean? Like it's just like,
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, even the turn of the fall, like I just think about that in football season, like as the leaves start to change and you're just like, oh man, it's getting serious. Like we're in the middle of October. We know who we are at this point. Like we know who everybody else is at this point, right? Like all of that, every single stepping stone along the way. It's just a beautiful journey. And I hope that this show will, invoke a lot of people's reactions. We want people to join in. The beauty of a tailgate is that you want to welcome people in. So we want as many people who feel like they love college football like we do to come join us for this ride. Guys, appreciate you, of course, for breaking it all down. I know this has been a full dump of the season. We will be back on Wednesday breaking down week 1. We got football on Saturday, week 0. We got Farmageddon. We got Kansas, who is now trying to be a football school, playing as well. There's some good games on the schedule. We hope everybody stays tuned in and watches those games, and we will see you all next week. Must be 21 or older and present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.